the Tennessee Volunteers went 10-3 last year under head coach Josh Heupel. Interesting year from them, and the fact we've come to know Josh Heupel's Tennessee teams for just explosive, high-flying offenses. But the defense was the story last year, and in a good light. I mean, you could say the offense not producing was a story in a bad way. But the defense really won this team some games last year amid the offensive struggles and the Nico struggles, just the kind of inability to find a vertical passing game. And then Dylan Sampson really, really helped this group. Well, Nico's gone because he wanted a ton of money, and they held and didn't give it to him. And Dylan Sampson went to the draft. So now you're really looking to replace a lot offensively. I guess it depends on what you think of Nico, if that was a huge loss or not. But they swapped QBs with UCLA in the Nico trade. Nico goes to UCLA. They bring in Joey Aguilar from UCLA, who early in the offseason had transferred from App State. So a Sunbelt warrior in Joey Aguilar. What do we expect for him in his first season as a Tennessee Volunteer?
He's capable. I think he's nowhere near the talent of the last three quarterbacks they've had, and Nico, Hendon Hooker, and Joe Milton. He has nothing athletically that pops off like each of them have. Like Nico's size, I mean, all three of them were big, but Hendon Hooker's accuracy and his quick release and Milton's cannon of an arm. He has none of those. He's going to run a ton. I think he's actually they're going to run him more than they've ran any other Tennessee quarterback out of the last three, and he's better running than any of those three. They're going to use him a ton in that. There was a lot of design runs he had at App State. There was also a lot of read options they would run for Joey Aguilar. I have really big questions about, like, just weapons. I just don't. Running back is a huge one there. Like, them not being able to run the football, I think hurts them a ton. And I think it's going to hurt Joey a ton. That being said, if Nico was the quarterback right now, I would be picking Tennessee to win the SEC. Because the schedule is just, it's out there for them to take. They have big game. Really the only tough game for them would have been at Alabama. Like the Georgia game with Nico, I think they'd be in a competitive battle. They were competitive at Athens last year against Georgia. We don't really know about Gunnar Stockton necessarily. They would probably lose at Florida, but 10-2, that's still a chance to get in the SEC championship. I thought with the schedule, like, it would have been extremely workable this year. Now, unfortunately, it becomes a year of, like, dang, they're going to kind of take a step back. And the biggest question for them is, given that fan base, can they withstand a step back? Because they're going to take one. They are not making the playoff this year like they did last year. And they've kind of steadily seen this increase of really, really good, just outside of the playoff. They would have made the playoff with Hendon Hooker, 12 team. They would have been really close with Joe Milton, I'd assume. I forgot where they finished out that year, but they were in a New Year's Six game. Now they're going to take a step back, and that's where my concern is. Knowing Tennessee fans, knowing that fan base, how will they react to that? Can they withstand that? I guess would be my question to y'all.
I think they will be able to. I think that the Nico Iamaleava, I personally had a lot of respect for how Josh Heupel handled that, in that he kind of told Iamaleava to just, like, take a bus out of town because it was stupid that he was demanding more money. And the situation there, I think Heupel handled it very well, and I think Tennessee fans recognize that, or at least I recognize that, and I hope they recognized it because he did handle it well. And so I think that there's going to be some grace given the unfortunate situation, losing your very talented quarterback into the transfer portal. I think there's going to be some grace there to kind of go 8-4 and 9-3 this year. And then as long as you turn around and can bring in a quarterback for next year, whether it's a transfer, they've got the number one quarterback in the class for the class of 2026, I believe, something Faison. So that, I think Tennessee fans are going to be able to get over that because Josh Heupel has gotten them to heights that they hadn't seen since, like, the 90s with Manning. Like, it's not been a recent success for them. So I think that they're going to have some grace there for him.
See, I think currently they applaud Heupel for what he's done. I don't trust Tennessee fans to be rational at all, and I think that come the end of the season and they hit 8 wins or something like that, they're going to be very frustrated about how the season went down. They're going to be going, we should just give Nico more money, especially if he plays well at UCLA. And that's just not just Tennessee fans. College football fans in general aren't the most rational. So I'm very worried about that personally, just because, I mean, you can say it's all good and well on the front end, and then things don't go your way, and you have to continue to keep your head up and say, no, Josh, like, you did the right thing. It's okay. We only won 8 games. I'm not so sure about that.
But they're not going to be calling for his job, and if they do, it's
no.
not
I'm not
gonna
saying
matter.
that. I think they just will
But
be
they could
discontent.
It's Tennessee at the end of the day. Like
He would not realistically get fired, but that doesn't keep Tennessee fans from being like, oh, here we go.
Maybe you're not that good of a coach. Maybe you need a good quarterback kind of thing.
Yeah, but like, I mean,
The only reason I brought it up is because of the fan base.
Yeah.
Like, that is how they
That
act.
is an insane fan base. They're very passionate, and
Yeah.
that leads to some, overreactions.
They feel that way after going to the playoff game, and for 2 weeks, we're beating Ohio State. We're packing out Ohio State.
that was
They got boat raced,
yeah.
and now the season is a disappointment when any other fan base would trade the season they had.
I think a lot of it too hinges on Joey Aguilar, because if they only win 8 games, but he actually plays pretty well, maybe it's not that big of a deal. If he comes in and just really falls flat on his face and they don't get much production there, I think they'll especially be upset.
I'm also just scared, like, in these games, like, it's not going to be close. Like, I think they're going to get blown out a few times. Georgia, I think, will blow them out. At Alabama, I think they're going to get blown out. At Mississippi State, they're going to lose that game. I've already predicted that. So that hurts a ton.
Yeah.
They will not. No fan base should react rationally to losing Mississippi State.
Correct. Yes.
They especially will not.
At Florida, like, they never win that game, and now you don't have a quarterback for that game
The
either.
quarterback discrepancy in that game is a little steep.
Exactly.
Not in their favor.
Again, like, Aguilar was good, but he was also playing Sun Belt football at a mid Sun Belt school. He hasn't, and the talent isn't like there where it's like, oh, it makes sense. He was like one of their only options, and so they're kind of stuck with that there. And I just don't have a lot of trust in any of that. I wouldn't fire Heupel. I'm not
No.
calling for that, of course.
And
Even if they were
won't.
6-6,
They won't.
And
No,
they
they
should.
won't.
Fans may call for it, but they're not going to fire him.
No, that's not really even in the question.
But I have huge concerns for how toxic that fan base could potentially become within themselves.
Yeah.
If the season were to go awry.
And Tucker
Sure.
makes the point that he thinks that how he handled the Nico situation will buy Heupel enough time to see if the 2026 kid, Faison Brandon, the number 1 player in the country right now, a 5-star quarterback out of North Carolina, to see if he develops into what Nico is supposed to be. And I know we're not going to debate the Nico thing. We talked about Nico during the UCLA discussion last week, but I agree. I think that this year they're going to go 8-4. Maybe they get to 9-3, but it's not going to be the same year. It's not going to be the same kind of season they've had the past 2 years, past 3 years. It's not going to be the same offense, but I don't think it's going to matter because I think in 2 years they'll bring in the number 1 quarterback in the country, and then Tennessee fans are going to be behind Heupel again.
He's in 2 years. He's 2027.
2026. Did I say 2 years?
Yeah.
Or I meant, I guess, in 2.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think personally that even without the Nico stuff, having that good of a quarterback in the wings will buy almost any coach time. Think even like
Yep.
DJ Lagway with Billy Napier, like similar thing. Nothing will get a team more excited than a good quarterback coming in. Even with like Kamario Taylor,
Yeah.
like that's the talk of state sports right now, and he wasn't even. He was a very highly rated recruit. He was not a 5-star first overall QB,
Nope.
that type of beat. So that alone would probably buy him time. But it doesn't matter because he's not getting fired after this year.
Nope.
Last thing, I want to talk about the defense because we've not talked about it. They were great last year. I guess I
Yeah.
did mention it in the opener.
They were incredible.
I'm not sure that they can sustain that and be like a top 10 defense by all those metrics again. I still think they will be very good. Boo Carter is a great player for them. He's also very young. I believe he's a true sophomore. I think it was in the key players. You mind going back up? Because I'm blanking on the guy's name. Jermod McCoy could end up being a first-round draft pick. I will say he's coming back from an ACL tear, so that's a
He's-
little interesting.
I think he's going to be a first-round draft pick.
If he comes back healthy
If
from
he
his
comes
ACL
back
tear.
healthy, sure, yeah.
he's a stud, but I'm not top 10 defense. I'm not positive that's quite sustainable.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't you don't have to be a top 10 defense, but
They were elite last year. I mean, they were 8th in points per game, 7th in yards per game, 9th in opponent third down conversion rate. But yeah, it isn't necessarily sustainable. I'll be interested to see their D line should be very good. It's a bunch of they're a very talented team. Hypo's done a fantastic job of recruiting. The rankings, their 2023 class was very good, 4th in the SEC. I'll be interested to see what that the secondary looks like with the the two former 3-stars in Andre Turntine and Ricky Gibson. Those guys kind of stood out just looking at their rosters I was kind of expecting it to be all 4 and 5 stars. Now, I mean, I'm sure that they are good to be starting for Tennessee, but that'll be something I'll be interested to watch. Are these guys that outperform their high school ratings?
yeah. Even if they're not top 10 again, I think that is going to be how they're going to have to win games next year. It's off on the back of their defense, limiting other teams' opponents and forcing takeaways and whatnot, especially the big games.
Yeah.
I don't think this offense is going to be good enough to get in a boat race with Alabama or Georgia. You're going to have to find a way to limit Alabama or Georgia if you want to win those games.
Did you talk about everybody they lost on offense outside of the obvious Nico and Dylan Sampson? They lost Deontay Thornton, wide receiver, got drafted. Squirrel White transferred to Florida State, and then Brew McCoy graduated.
That's what they do after he
Yeah.
caught a pass. And it just kind of sounded like they're booing.
Classic.
Yeah,
It's a classic. I mean,
It's pretty fire.
Yeah. I remember going to a game and someone doing that, and I was so confused because I thought they were booing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the offense is just completely overhauled. Besides Aguilar at quarterback, so it'll be interesting to see how all that pans out. They're starting a freshman at offensive tackle, in all likelihood, David Sanders, a 5-star. So how does that pan out? I mean, he's talented clearly, but how does the offensive line work with him? I think on the right side is where he's projected to play. So it's going to be a very different look on offense, and the defense is probably going to need to carry.
Over-under 8.5. I'm taking the under. I don't think it'll be disastrous or anything. I think the defense is good enough, and Heupel is a good enough coach to get on at least a competent offense on the field. But I think they'll lose most of their big games, and so 8 wins most likely for me.
I'm going to take the over. I only see 3 losses on the schedule: Georgia, Alabama, and then either Florida or Oklahoma. I think they'll win one of those, so I'm going to take the over.
You would have to. I'd be hard pressed to take the over because they would not be favored in any of those 4 games unless Oklahoma was just really, really bad. And because of that, I don't see 10 wins. I don't see them winning 2 of those games for sure. Obviously, I've already picked them to lose to Mississippi State, so I've got them going 7-5. But if Nico was there, the 10-2 would be the floor. It would feel like, and 11-1 would be pretty likely. Because I think they could win the Georgia or Bama game with him, but he's not here, so 7-5. I got the under.